Welcome to Forever Exiled, the Path of Exile podcast. I am Justin, aka Tagz.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
This is episode 68 of Forever Exiled, a non-console talking episode. Aren't you excited? This is all about no console talk. We promise right off the bat. Right, Ty?
No, we don't. No, not at all.
We talked about this right before we started. No console, right?
No. I do not remember that conversation.
Ah, dang. All right. Yeah, well, sorry. Episode 68 of Forever Exiled. A big shout out to all of the patrons for your support and for, just being super awesome people. You can find more information about our Patreon below. It gives you access to After Dark, which is our podcast after the podcast. We actually did a little shake up with our Patreon tiers this week. And also because a lot of people have asked us to do something about it, we switch things over to having an actual merch store, which you can find at merch.foreverexiled.com. It's linked down below as well. And, t-shirt with Tyler's ugly face on it.
That's kind of weird.
Or a mug, whatever.
That's
anyway,
right.
A big shout out to all of you guys for supporting the podcast. You guys are awesome. And for everybody else listening as well.
It's also a tote bag.
Even the YouTube people.
Especially everybody. I'm especially excited for the tote bag. Can get me a tote bag. Going to use it like a satchel.
This is 68. We're going to get into how, well, let's, tell me your week. You go first. How was your week, Ty?
Good. My, something's wrong with my cat. Not going to get into details of it because it's not nice, but it needs pills, 2 pills a day, oral pills. Ever tried to give a cat pills orally?
No.
Say goodbye to your hands. They get thrashed. It is unenjoyable.
Can't you cover it in peanut butter like you can with a dog?
I tried, doesn't like it. Tried honey, doesn't like it. Tried agave, doesn't like it. Tried tuna, got one, and then it caught on. So anyway, it's not getting any of the pills that it needs, and that's too bad because if this doesn't work, we're probably putting her down. So let's hope she smartens up, even though she's a cat. So that kind of sucks. I made a point to make sure because I was big into, it's not my favorite thing, but the MCU, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe that lasted for 11 years. I mean, I guess it's still going, but I was really big into it. Not my favorite movies, of course, but I just love the longevity of an eternal storyline. I really like that stuff. So anyway, I like those really big storylines, even if they're not my favorite storylines. And I was always into superheroes and stuff anyway. But anyway, because I was always looking up stuff with the MCU on a regular basis, and it's something fun that my wife and I always talk about. I started getting tons of WandaVision stuff and the Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki, all the shows that are going to be coming out for Disney Plus. And so I'm starting to get some spoilers on WandaVision. And I'm like, no, got to prioritize that. So I watched all 5 episodes that are out of WandaVision, and I'm loving it. And that was it. That was basically my week. It was normal. It was just chores and kids and, looking forward to next week's short week, right? Because we get another long weekend with the kids again next weekend. You excited about that, Just? 4-day weekend? No school? You excited?
Why? What is this? What's this one?
I don't know. It's the February one. And then I guess we have BC's new Family Day. I guess Alberta's had it forever and we're just trying to copy them. So I've got Family Day after Valentine's Day. So that's nice.
Is it really a 4-day weekend for them?
Yeah. Our school has a Pro D Day and then it's Family Day the next Monday.
Oh, I hate when they do crap like that. Give them a Pro D Day with a holiday.
Yeah. So
you effers.
Literally a 4-day weekend. And I got a new monitor, Just.
I know, 2 monitors finally.
Thank you.
Tyler has 2 monitors. He has been finally brought into I want to say 21st century, but that's the 20th century. You're a bit behind. Welcome to the 2000s, the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's really cool. Getting used to, how things snap and how Windows, works, all the new kind of shortcuts, what works and what doesn't. And it's really, really bright. And it's really exciting because now I can play PoE on a full screen when I broadcast. What?
I know, there's so many options now.
Yeah.
I told a friend of ours,
everyone,
that if I got a message from you complaining that your neck hurt because you have to turn your head now from time to time, that I was going to drive to your house and beat the shit out of you.
I have a horrible neck, man. I have a horrible neck. I have to be so picky and careful. But no. I got it all set up. It's neck savvy, Just. It's neck savvy. I got it. How about you? How was your week?
My week was tons and tons of work. It was a fine week, but we had BC decided to hold us down for another month at least. It's an indefinite continuation of our lockdown. I'm freaking tired of it. I'm so tired. And then now, listen, if you're listening to this, just jot a note or make a mental note to later on at some time in your life, open up the YouTubes and search for AC/DC Thunderstruck from 2009 at River Plate. I think it's in Brazil. It's a live arena that they did. I love it because it's Thunderstruck and it's AC/DC, and it actually pumps me up and makes me feel good. But there's so many human beings in one spot, and it makes me really jealous of 2009 people. Like I said to my wife, I'm like, when do you think we'll ever get to be in that big of a group again? I think it's going to be a long time. So I'm just done. I'm done with COVID. It needs to just F off. I've had it. I want the injection. I want to move on with this. But yeah, that was literally today. So my week has been fine. And then today they extended it. So anyway,
it's
I'm done
long.
with it.
My son was saying that he's like, I kind of miss going to our grandparents, like Mops, Pops, Minja. Miss going to our maybe COVID will be gone tomorrow. So I'm like, no, probably not tomorrow. It's gonna be a long time. But
I was talking to, I think my mom today or somebody, and I was saying it's sad when your 3-year-old is saying, I just wish COVID was done. I wish COVID was over. Like a 3-year-old is saying that. It's annoying. I've had it. I know everybody else is in that same boat. I've just had it. I like the whole, it was fine hanging out at home for a little bit, but I work. I'm out literally every single day. I'm really, really busy, but in the evening, you maybe want to go out with the kids or you want to go, you can't do anything.
No.
So I'm, hopefully nobody heard that stupid train.
Oh, I love it. I love it. My dad loved trains.
Yeah.
So you can keep it in.
No, I'm talking train. God.
But even when we get treat the kids to some sort of fast food like A&W or McDonald's, I still order on the app because to me, I feel like it's going to be a little more prepared. They have a little bit more time to go through with it. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit more, a little bit less hands that have touched the food.
Did you hear what Skip the Dishes did?
Yeah.
Okay. So Skip the Dishes, I'm sure most people everywhere know Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, DoorDash, like they're places that deliver food. And in BC, our provincial government made it so that these companies couldn't charge more than, I don't remember if it was 15 or 30%. I think it was 15%. They basically made it so these companies like DoorDash and Skip the Dishes couldn't charge more than a certain percentage to the restaurants because they're just making killings, Skip the Dishes and DoorDash. And the restaurants were really struggling. So our government decided to cap the percentage that these companies could, Skip the Dishes, DoorDash, all these other ones, couldn't charge more than 15%. Because I want to say they're charging 30% is what their base amount is to these restaurants and places. And so then Skip the Dishes in response decides to initiate a BC tax. It's specifically for BC and they charge you an extra $1 and you're taxed on top of it. Oh, I was so mad. Anyway,
yeah,
it's a bunch of dickheads.
Oh, no, I don't like using that stuff anyway, but
we use it all the time, but it irritates me that they're trying to now charge extra money because they can't make as much money as they did before. Screw you. Screw you, Skip the Dishes. Anyway, let's talk about PoE, your PoE week this week.
Well, we played together for a little bit. That was fun.
We did.
Well, I mean, it was fun for you. I think I saw some of it. I think I saw some of the gameplay. I survived most of it, but they were really long slideshows. Slideshows aren't even a thing anymore, so that term's probably going to change. But if you were to go to a slideshow and somebody spent way too long on a slide, that's the kind of slideshow I had. I didn't have a quick moving slideshow. I had a really slow moving slideshow, but it was fun to play with you. It was cool. That was Monday. I think we got some time, and then we both had some pretty busy weeks post that. You're using a Kingmaker. This kind of surprised me. Not that you're using a Kingmaker, but while we were hanging out, while you were doing your, fixing up the next map and stuff like that, getting ready to put it in the Atlas, I was kind of just, moving around. I was surprised how small the Kingmaker's AoE is that's on your Guardian. Like, it was as your Guardian, I would stand still and I'd see your Guardian kind of wander around the hideout a little bit, stay relatively close to you. And I was actually really surprised how small that AoE is. It's just something I noticed. But did you always know how small it was? To me, I always assumed it was big. Like, it's a super strong weapon. It's very overpowered. And area of effect is something that is extremely strong in the game as well. So I can see why it's small. But I was actually really surprised to not know that area of effect and go out of your way to get that weapon in your build for whatever reason, for whatever item, or for whatever, whether it's for yourself or for your minion. That's a good piece of knowledge to know. I wish that AoE was common knowledge. Maybe it is. I just never knew.
The thing is, it doesn't matter when you're putting it on an animate guardian because you're never outside of the range of it. Its buff is always on me. If I move, it moves. Well, I'm just saying, like, because it's my animate guardian, I always have the buff on me. So you might not, as somebody playing with me, but from the point of view of the person that's using it.
Yeah, or if you have Feeding Frenzy and you make your minions aggressive, right? If you're hoping to have that fortification or the fortify support on your minions. Anyway, I didn't mean to get into it, but I was just surprised how small it was, but it was still pretty cool and it was nice to play. I had some multiple discouraging sessions on console. I did crash quite a few times, and I was going through Heist because I didn't really get a good feel for Heist when it came out. I forget why. I think of Vacation, or I forget what it was. Anyway, with Heist, I'm finally doing my own thing with Heist, and I was crashing a lot. And I never knew, because Heist has always been, like, in a way, it's hardcore, right? Like, you die and you're done with Heist, right? You don't get a second chance. Items, yeah, with all the items you pick up. But when I crash in it, it still lets me go back in, which I'm very thankful for. I like that. And I can go back in and get my stuff. And it doesn't even count as a death, right? On these crashes anyways, my auras didn't turn back off like I died. So it was kind of neat. Is that normal?
As long as you don't set off the alarm. If the alert gets full, then you can't get back in. But up until the alert is full, you can go back in as many times as you want.
That's interesting. All right, cool. I just assumed with a crash, it would have just been like, no, sorry, instance is done. Interesting. That's kind of cool. Anyway, the rest of my stuff, it was actually a very infuriating Path of Exile week for me. So how about...
It's going to be a crabby Tyler episode. Let me talk about my week.
So yes, please, you go, and we'll do me another time.
We played on Monday. I'm still playing my Golem build. It's working fine. Hopefully I'm going to get out of this episode, but I swear to God, this train is doing it on purpose. It's loud. Can you hear it from your place? Did you just hear that?
No, I did, but only through my headphones. Wow. I'm closer.
I know. I don't get it.
I'm closer to the train.
I literally can hear it through the window. It's making me angry.
Keep it in, man. Keep it in.
So annoying. Anyway.
Oh, now I got it on both. Now it's like surround sound.
The build is going fine. I have my issues that we're going to talk about as well with regards to the state of Path of Exile right now, but the build is working fine. I still am absolutely in love with this league and this end game, and I can't think of another time where there was just so much to do in end game. Like, there's just, you have so many options, like I did play today for a little bit, which was actually kind of nice to get a bit of a break. And I went and did Heist. I haven't done Heist all league really, except for a little bit. And that was actually a lot of fun. In fact, it's cracked me up because last in Heists, which was last league, Huck was the worst and the most useless thief or bandit or rogue. Rogue.
Yep.
Never used him. He was absolutely pointless. This league, they changed his buffs, and one of them is 20% increased experience.
20? I thought it was 10.
20% increased experience.
Yes, please.
And Heist already has increased experience. Now, I'm 92 right now. My XP was way faster with Huck just doing, and he can do 4 different types.
Yeah, he can. All level 3, but as long as you're doing something that's level 3 or lower.
I was running through and just like at 92, it's not often that you see the bar moving as you kill packs.
Yeah.
I was watching the bar, like a single heist was taking me up 7 to 8%.
Very nice.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
In a single heist. So I played with heist, which was fun. I've expanded my Atlas a bunch more. I killed Cyrus. I've been doing more of the Maven stuff. She's starting to use a few more words, which is kind of nice. But the build is working fine. Golems are easy. I hate specters still. I just don't like them. Maybe it's because, well, no, I don't know why. I don't like that they die. I hate when they die. I appreciate you telling me that you can use Desecrate in your hideout and it will use like the ones that you recently had. So that's at least nice. But I don't like when stuff dies. I hate it because then I got to go re-summon them. And it's weird to me. My Golems and my Anime Guardian never die. Never die. And I don't know. I have I can't remember what I have, but I feel like I have life and meat shield on them. But they just piss me off. And they're friggin' monkeys.
Those two that you mentioned that don't die, they have a much higher base life. Whereas specters, it's based on the enemy that you summon. And so specters, zombies, even skeletons, depending on what you're doing, most people don't care, but they require life and damage mitigation investment, hands down for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm only using them for the buff, so it doesn't really matter. It's mostly for the frenzy charges and the power charge. But yeah, my PoE was fun this week. Besides the things that we are going to talk about, because I feel like I was probably harder on them last episode, and I'm still going to continue some of that this episode, just because the game is fun. I am in love with this league. I'm in love with this end game, but I'm a little frustrated with the grinding gear games right now. I also, on a side note, well, it's still a PoE thing. I did my MTX, which you'll be happy about. I finally put some MTX on my character.
Oh, good for you.
And I also finally had time to actually get around to getting some of the supporter packs that I wanted.
Which one?
I got Harvest, up to the Harvest one.
I remember you liking that one. Does that include Abyss, or is that before Abyss?
And oh my God, they're so good.
Yeah.
Like the portals for them are amazing. The outfits, they look so good. It's Breach, Abyss, and I think it's I don't know. It's the second from the highest one. It's the second from the highest one. But I also realized at that point, I was like, oh, I never got my Atlas map from the Judicator pack, last core pack. Like I got the book, right? That choose your own adventure, but I never got the physical
the book
map.
was because of a screw up they did with our codes, wasn't it?
No.
Oh.
No, the book was just because I had upgraded to the Judicator pack,
and
that's included. And with that is also the map. And so I emailed support. Oddly, they took like almost 2 days to get back to me, which is not normal usually for GGG. And then their response back to me was that I needed to talk to Jinx. And I didn't realize that Jinx, the company Jinx in the US, handles their maps as well. I knew they handled their shirts and their jackets, but I didn't realize they handled their books and like literally everything. Any merchandise apparently comes out of this Jinx company.
But they didn't do the middle ground for you?
No, they told me I needed to contact them. So then I'm like, okay, then whatever. So I sent, they said, here's the information you need to send them. So I send this information to Jinx, and I get an email back the next day saying, oh, sorry, there've been delays with COVID, this, that. It's gone out today. And I was like, so you forgot. It has nothing to do with COVID and something else.
It's right.
Just
it doesn't
tell me
go
it got
out today. That's right.
Yeah, like they're all of a sudden we're like, hey, it just so happened today was the day, and you happen to email us too.
Yeah, that's right. But surprisingly, they accidentally left out the first sentence. Which is, wow, what a coincidence that you emailed today.
From like, I think August or September last year. And it just so happened that the same day I emailed them happened to be the day they were sending out. So anyway.
You're just so full of horseshoes. Look at you.
So lucky. Yeah. So it's at least coming. And then I think I went with the Exalt shirt instead of the Path of Exile one, because you had to pick, right? With this,
I didn't know. That's pretty cool.
With this pack, you could pick between either an Exalt on the thing, and I already have the Exalt one from ExileCon, but I thought, well, I'll try the Exalt one, see what it looks like.
Do they look different? You said Exalt for both. What do you have from ExileCon?
There was an ExileCon one that was a huge Exalt on it.
Okay.
The shirt that it looks like they send you is just more like a patch of the Exalt, like normally where it say, I don't remember. I might be completely wrong. But anyway, that was my PoE week, and I am still quite looking forward to playing more and progressing Maven. I've had Ethan had the Maven invite that is the breach version. So it you have to have the Maven witness all fights minus Chayula. So Esh and like all four of them.
I didn't know those kind of invites existed. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So she has to. So basically, it just means you have to do their breach stone, and then she automatically, you put it in, and so the thing's already yellow, right? The Maven icon's yellow. We could not beat it. I don't know what kind of build you need to do the 4 Breachstone bosses, but I even saw in our chat that I think Dai got it, and he had to get somebody from the trade Discord that had like a boss killing build to come in and help him finish them off, because they were full health when like I know they heal up anyway because of Maven or something, but we didn't kill a single one. And what's crazy to me is that's the breach one. I had one drop where you have to have her, I wish I could remember what it's called. You have to have her witness Chayula, Cortex, Shaper, Elder, and Itziri.
What?
And then you can run it, which means you're fighting those 5 in a single fight. I'll never do
and
it.
that's an invitation that you have to use. And you can't put invitations in your stash, can you? Are you stuck with that in your inventory until you do it?
You can put it in a stash. You just can't put it in like the currency stash or anything, but you can put it in a normal one.
Okay.
Yeah. So it does go in there, but it's actually kind of funny because those things are also something that we're going to talk about this week in PoE, which has to do with stuff like the winged scarabs. I can't stand that there's like some currency based stuff that doesn't fit, or not currency necessarily, but like themed things from a stash tab that don't fit. I have like a random stash tab that's got Maven invites, random, scarabs that I can't fit. Same with Breachstones that can't fit.
Everything that doesn't fit.
You took my money, GGG. Let me put it in there. Anyway, let's get into this week in PoE because there was a bit.
Yeah, it was another busy week in terms of announcements and patches. First one I'll add, just to get your console stuff out of the way, since this is a non-console.
We promised no console.
Sure. That from that non-existent conversation. So
we apologize.
Console, I was waiting and waiting. I was having tons of crash bugs, tons of crashes, and there was so many different issues. And the horrible looking texture stuff was so minor compared to all the issues that I was having. But even like when a buff if I would get hit and cast with damage taken would like proc a buff, I just get a square. It's so bad. After this patch, so console's now updated to 13.1b.
Mm-hmm.
And even after this patch, I'm still getting like my temporary buffs still look like squares instead of the actual icon. It's ridiculous. So anyway, but 13.1b did add some good fixes for console. It's the same as PC, but they actually had to do a 1 hour rollback.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, they haven't, and they're very hesitant to do that. They only do it when they need to.
Oh, it had to be done.
But it did. Like, listen to this. So here's some of the issues that required the rollback. It was only a 1 hour rollback, but you never know. Sometimes you can accomplish a ton in 1 hour. So the issues included currency orbs not functioning on certain items, and there were a lot of them, important ones too. Certain rewards being generated at an extremely high rate, and guaranteed predictive crafting, and more. They say it was really bad, some of the stuff that couldn't happen. So anyway, they had a 1 hour rollback. The game, despite the fact that they came with a lot of fixes, doesn't work any better, but I'll get into that. I'm going to be hating a lot today. So, but then what else did they have? They had a bunch of different hot fixes, right? Which are all nice, and they had some good improvements there. But then there was the big texture one, right? What was it? 1B was where they actually started to implement some of their fixes for the texture complaints that they had.
Yeah, it's 13.1b, and I saw that they were coming out with this texture fix, and so I thought, okay, cool, I'll load it up. And I didn't fully read the entire paragraph. I just saw that, texture streaming no longer relied on for the initial loading. I didn't read the next sentence, and I just thought, okay, well, let's see if this is any better. And so I loaded the game up, and I'm kind of like, well, I feel like they're just making me watch a loading screen longer. Like I'm noticeably feeling like this load is taking a little bit longer. And so I got in, tried a couple maps, was going to hideout, blah, blah, blah. And then we were talking about it in Discord, and I kind of mentioned, like, I feel like all they did was increase the load time. And somebody was like, yep, they did. That's literally exactly That's exactly what it says. So I went back and read it, and it says instead the loading screen stays up until the scene is ready to render. With texture streaming, use when necessary to keep frame rate high when loading unexpected assets during gameplay. We have a lot that we're going to get into with regards to frustrations, and so I'm finding it hard where to jump in and say something. But what I'm really struggling with is what changed. I just don't get. I didn't experience these issues in the last league and in every version of Path of Exile up until now. So I don't understand, and I don't accept the fact that maybe it's something that has to do with how they're going to handle PoE 2. And we talked about this. This is one thing I got into really pissed off about last episode. I don't care about PoE 2. I'm playing Path of Exile 1, and you want me to play Path of Exile 1 until Path of Exile 2 comes out. So you can't use this as a testing ground for PoE 2 if you can't maintain the level of play in Path of Exile 1. And so my load screens are noticeably longer. And had they always been that long, I probably just wouldn't care. But I never had a texture issue
before 3.13
previously with a normal load screen. So I'm struggling. I realized as I was, playing this week that that's a dumb thing for me to complain about. But if my computer didn't load as fast as it already does, that's even longer that I'm sitting in it. And so did they increase load times on a console or somebody that's not running an SSD? Because then you could be sitting there for a day waiting for something to load. And it's not just your initial load in. Go load to my hideout, go load into a map, load out of a map. They're all noticeably longer load times.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm struggling a little bit this league with my level of happiness and expectation in the game's playability. I love the game. I love the league. I love the end game, but some of it's just making me angry.
To me, there's a point for a load screen, and it's not so that you can still have a crappy looking game after. Now, to me, I want the game to work fine, and if it looks like crap while it's working fine, great. What's that option called where it's supposed to minimize
dynamic something?
Right, and it's supposed to guarantee my frames per second. Has that ever worked?
I never needed it, but it did for you in the very beginning. When they very, very first introduced it, there was like a week where I remember it would turn fuzzy and it was like, oh, what's happening? What is this? And then it was done. Then it just stopped. It never worked again.
But for me, gameplay was the priority. So I didn't care that things went fuzzy. I could still relatively see the fireball that always seems to come for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you do that. You know those fireballs when they're like, what's it called? Where the enemy dies, but then it like spawns that fireball that follows you. It's awesome.
I don't know what it is.
Oh, it makes me laugh every time where you are always running for me.
I'm trying to make it blow up on Tyler.
Even if it's anyway.
It killed you once. I was so happy I killed you once on one day.
So, but here's the thing. When that worked, the visuals weren't important. Yes, I of course need to see enough to know what I'm doing and what's happening.
You at least weren't lagging and you could not see.
When the gameplay quality is priority over the visual quality, I'm the type of player where I'm fine with that. That's what I want. I want to be able to play the game. And if it doesn't look like a AAA title, fine. But now the game, that doesn't work. I'm averaging 5 frames a second this entire league. And the game's not loading. Like if it's going to be 5 frames a second, make it look good. You know what I mean? Like now it's just crazy squares. Even when I load the game on console for a split second, my icon, my Xbox icon that I have as like the temporal chains logo that's right next to Wrecker of Days, that's actually grayed out for a little bit. The Echoes of the Atlas is grayed out after the load screen. Like even their splash screen doesn't load up. And gameplay, it's just, anyway, if you're going to have this kind of stuff, the game needs to work well for it to be acceptable.
Yeah, I was going to say that for me, since they did this change, the 13.1b, I don't notice, obviously, the texture streaming when I first load in. I don't see the squares. And it does run for me fine. I don't actually see any issue while I'm playing the game, but I also am not running the average computer. And it's not, if I'm playing with Ethan, I can still see it on his from time to time. And he's still running a 1080 Ti. Like he's not running a low end system. So, and also I just don't accept that the longer load screen should be the fix because it never was before. Literally up until this point in this league, I didn't have the issue. I never saw the squares. I never saw a load screen longer than what it was. what the heck changed? I just don't get what is different. And I absolutely am not okay with it being like, well, it's because we're prepping for PoE 2. And nope. I'm playing Path of Exile 1. You go test PoE 2 somewhere else.
Yeah.
Not on me.
Yeah. I'm getting kind of tired of it. So for this week in PoE, there was a few hot fixes. There was the texture stuff we brought up. They came out with a Maven lore thingy thing. So that's kind of neat. I haven't gotten into it. I had a pretty frustrating week, so I actually didn't look at any of their extra fun stuff that I normally would. They came out with a new MTX set, which I actually think is really sexy. The Frost Viking. Oh my goodness, that armor set looks awesome. So, of course, at different times throughout the week, they came out with the back attachment, the aura, the portal, the weapon, the cloak. They came out with a fox pet, which is kind of cool. Like, I've always liked the older sets, you know, like I really like, I think it's I don't remember if it's Arctic or not, but it's kind of like I have an Arctic wolf on my head as kind of my MTX. And there wasn't really a full set that matched everything. So I had to kind of go back and forth between some of the other cold looking sets to try and get, you know, good footprints and a portal and all that. But so they added a fox pet, which is nice. Another Celestial MTX. I think what they come out with last time, Frostbomb last week. So this week Celestial was Toxic Rain, but very popular skill this league. So good timing for them. They added a bear cloak, which is kind of cool because it reminds me of like their old original MTX sets that they had way back, like in 2015 and 16. So it was kind of cool to see them bring something up that kind of was back in that time frame. So that was cool. And I saw you checking out beforehand. What'd you think of the community showcase and the did you see that?
Oh, the stuff that people do is amazing. There was one that was very good.
Do you mean suggestive?
It was just a very well done.
It was a perky
piece
picture.
Of art.
Yes, perky picture.
It was thick, but it was nice. It was all the stuff people do for that stuff is crazy good.
Yeah.
I did see it.
I also do like seeing the concept art that they come up with. And so they did the suffering. I really like the mystery box stuff. It'll be a very difficult time for me financially when these are purchasable items later on after the mystery box is moved on. They came out with the suffering concept art, which is neat. And then they announced a talent competition. So that's kind of cool. I like it when they do the community involvement stuff.
Sure.
No matter how the game's going, you and I are still huge fans of it. We're not outside of the podcast and stuff. We're like, this is what we do. We're never going to do that. But there's the people that do sculptures and they do music and they do pictures and just everything. And it's so cool. They do like cosplay.
Very talented.
Yeah. And this, I wish I put this at the top instead of at the bottom because we went negative and then we went positive and now it's negative again. This is about winged scarabs and pure breachstones. I forget where it was. I wish I copied it down, but on whatever medium they were contacting on at the time, based on recent feedback, we're considering adding winged scarabs and pure breachstones to the stash tabs for 3.14. What is that, like 10 leagues later?
Yeah. So the thing is, it is later, but where this is not recent. This is feedback that especially started last league in Heist because these drops became much more normalized in Heist.
Yeah.
Also, you shouldn't have needed that. If you, I'm not being a dick about it. I'm just saying, like, you created breachstones and multiple versions of a breachstone, and you have a tab that has breachstones. Figure it out. You have a tab that has scarabs. Figure it out. You created another version of it. You can't just randomly be like, hey, this one doesn't go in there.
That's right. Here's some new core currency. Just FYI. You can figure out your own place for it. That's right. We know you've spent the money. It's kind of like, what are those like vials that you get from incursions that are used only to upgrade uniques that drop specific to incursions? I think it is. You know those little red vials?
Oh yeah, it's the same as like the blessings. The blessings that drop in the breaches.
Right. Been around for a while.
You know what's annoying about those scarabs too? You can't put them in the currency tab along the bottom. You know those empty squares?
Right.
Why?
You have to use one of
Why
your
is there
quadrants.
a requirement of what goes into those 12 slots or whatever it is, 16 slots? Let me put whatever the hell I want in there.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I really don't. I can put a prophecy that can fit, but not a scarab.
Interesting. Prophecies fit, hey?
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought it had to be stackable. Maybe that was kind of the thing that I was coming up with.
It was so bizarre. It's so bizarre. But anyway, yeah, that it shouldn't have to be something they consider. You need to just put it in there. It's part of a scarab. It should fit in the scarab tab. I don't know how you make it look good, but that's not what I'm supposed to do. I play the game. I just know I bought a tab to hold my scarabs and my breach crap and all those shards. Figure it out. You know what? The reason I say that too is because I don't see a whole lot, and I get it, we're relatively casual players. I don't see a whole lot of the pieces to go fight Uber Elder, to go fight Elder, to go fight Shaper, or Uber Atziri. Those four. I get lots of the normal ones for Atziri, but I'm telling you, that whole part from just a little bit to the left to the whole right stays very empty through my league. It doesn't fill up, but I can't put a scarab in there.
No, I hear you.
So,
yeah, it's funny. I actually overlooked some of my personal notes in regards to what was happening this week in PoE. So regarding the console rollback, they let everybody know on all their platforms that or not their platforms, but their like different media outlets like Reddit and their own website and Twitter. They let everyone know that the Xbox realm was down, which I was very thankful for. But I was waiting because I was really excited. I was having a horrible console experience before 0.1 came out, so I was really excited for 0.1. I keep like every day I was checking the patch notes section on console, seeing if it was coming out, and it wasn't. Finally it came out, so I'm really excited, and I'm waiting. Hours go by and I'm like, what's going on? This must be huge. They let people know, but on one platform. They didn't retweet it or anything else. So here I am, I'm waiting for the tweet on Twitter. They're the only people I follow on Twitter. They're the only reason I have a Twitter account, just so I can get like immediate, GGG specific content on my phone. And they didn't even let me know. It was crazy. Like, you let everyone know on your 4 platforms or whatever they are, and then you only, update Reddit.
It's console. Who cares?
Now, this, I heard some GGG sass in a response. I forget who it was, but so I guess there was an issue with one of the patches that where if you wanted to start a safe house in a map with Jun for Syndicate, right? You know how you can meter in, and then if a safe house is ready to go, you can start it from within the map. Yeah. Apparently those portals weren't working. So you needed to go back to your hideout, and that was reported. And that was one of the hot fixes, but it was the only hot fix. And so somebody responded like, what the F? There's like 1,000 wrong things with the game. How is this the only hot fix? Now, so of course, like part of this response explains that. They said, we're aware of the problems and we're working to fix them. This particular fix was something we could deploy today. So, that's good. Then there's a hot fix. But they go on, so this particular fix was something we could deploy today on a Saturday morning. So we did. We'll keep working to address everything else case by case, like we always do. I apologize for the inconvenience this causes you. There's so much sass in that because
good. I actually like that. I like that response. Nope. You say your part, and then I'll show you why you're wrong.
I don't mind when people are put in their place, but when you release a really poor quality league, I don't care that you're working Saturday morning. If you're going to, on a regular basis, put out stuff that's giving me 5 frames per second and tons of crashes, nobody cares that you have to work on Saturday. That was your launch. Like, not that specific person responding, but nobody cares. Well, I don't care that if you're going to release a product that, congratulations, for the first time made alpha before you launched it, and now you have your staff that needs to work Saturdays to make some fixes, the user shouldn't care. Keep that to yourself. Apologies for the inconvenience. There's too much sass in that. Too much sass. But anyway.
All right. No. I'm going to say my part. You're not going to get to just get your piece out there and me not get mine.
Right, go ahead.
Here's the thing. I kind of agree with you, except that I don't mind them having their weekends because nobody should have to work all the time. I'm going to come from a very opposing side to you in the sense that I don't get 5 frames a second. The game works fine for me. So I don't look at it and go, well, you've released a game that I can't play. So that's just a counter side to it. But they had a fix. So do they just, what I'm kind of curious about is from the person who posted that, from their point of view, would they rather them not put out the fix?
Oh, totally. The complaint is silly.
And so what you're saying though, is more the attitude of the response.
Yeah.
And I look at it though, and I'm like, I actually don't mind that. And the last line, apologies for the inconvenience this causes you. I think that's actually, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Because there's zero inconvenience to the user that was complaining. It was just a fix.
Yeah. And they put it out there. In my head, I'm looking at it more from, because I can't stand the public. The person who posted that what was the point in them posting that too? That like
Totally.
GGG did a fix. They at least released it. I guess they could have released it and not told people, but they released it. It's a hot fix. Jesus, some of these hot fixes are like, we fixed a crash. That's all it says.
Yeah.
I love this ass. I think they should do it more and tell people to just shut the F up. We are fixing things. Give us a chance. Like, we can't fix everything. And they released this on a Saturday morning. You're welcome. We don't normally work Saturday mornings. And again, maybe it's because I'm not dealing with a 5 frame per second, like slideshow, but I wouldn't expect them to work 7 days a week because I can play the game.
I wouldn't either. But if you're released, and I totally agree, you need to give your staff the break. And honestly, if you and I were to ever run a company, your staff come first. You never tell the customer that, but your staff always have to come first.
I would always tell the customer that.
That response irritated me because the reason they're working Saturday has nothing to do with anything except for the way that they released the league. If the company was fine with how the league currently is, if they were fine with the quality, nobody would be there Saturday except for the extreme circumstance, right? You're running your skeleton crew on the weekends to make sure things are working. Bug fixes come back on Monday. So I don't feel bad that people are working on Monday. And it's not like this is the first weekend they've ever done it.
Well, I don't feel bad that people work anytime because you get paid for when you work and you're obviously willing to work it. But I'm just saying, if they fix something, should they not fix it and release it? Like, it just seems weird to me because I get it. There's some attitude in the response, but I'm kind of okay with that. You didn't put down what the person had originally posted. I'm just looking at it going, well, I love the fact that they are giving back some of the attitude that's being shown to them.
Sure.
I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I get where you're coming from, but I'm kind of fine with them being like, dude, just calm your tits. We are releasing what we have fixed and we're still working on the rest of it. So just wait.
Yeah, totally. I hear you. Well, the next note I'm going to skip.
What? You're not going to say it out loud?
No.
It's all capitals.
Are you? Oh, I guess you could put that in. Yeah.
It's what? I'm going to put what in?
Not that. What you were saying.
So
I'm not going to say it.
Tyler angrily. Maybe he was happy. Maybe it was a happy F word. But this just says, fuck you, frame rate. You didn't separate those. That was all one word. So I don't get it. Were we happy here? Were we upset here?
That's right. I do my best never to swear. And I had a hard time in that note, keeping it down. It was intentionally all capitals. And yeah, frame rate. It would have sounded really weird if you say FU frame rate.
I am actually curious. Did you speak this? Because Tyler does a lot of our notes with his Google talk to speech, and most of the time it's very messed up and hilarious. Did you type this, or did you actually speak?
Like, when they put GGG puts their patch notes through the what's that? Like the
manipulator weirdo thing.
What? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forget what it's called. Shoot. But I really like it when they do that anyway. Sure. I like to try to decipher what's coming before they post the patch notes. That is what Google is like. Google also releases products pre-beta, I think. And so anyway, this is not going to be a happy time for Tyler. Let's see how this goes.
Tell me.
Last episode, I asked you how you would rate my computer. You said 7, maybe 10, depending, right? 7 if I'm broadcasting, 8 if I'm not.
Yep.
That should be PoE-esque, right? Like, I have all my settings. We went through my settings when we were hanging out on Monday. They're like bare minimum. There's like everything's off or low, and it's performance focused, not like high end focused. When we were playing together, it was literally single digit frame rate the entire time. Now my settings,
also just say you were streaming, but yes. You're right. Mm-hmm.
Right. But that's only to couple the fact that I also play on console. I'm currently I'm on last gen, but according to Microsoft, it's not even going to be it'll be after summer by the time I can easily find a Series X in the store anyway. So I have my last gen console, which the game has been on now for 3 years. I'm playing on an original Xbox One sometimes, and sometimes I'm playing on the Xbox One S, the middle version out of the 3 that came out for the last gen consoles. I really get when I'm broadcasting on my PC and when I'm playing on console, I get roughly the same quality. It's a little bit better on PC, even though I'm streaming, but I get roughly the same quality, and I can't play. I'm at a point now with whatever they've done, I can't do basic content without it just being either the game stopping and I just see one screen that with no animation, or it's single digit frame rate. I can't play. I literally can't.
Do you find it mostly with rituals? Do you find it hits mostly with rituals?
It's all the time because we are playing ritual and that's a big part of our gameplay. But goodness me, we loaded the Harbinger maps. I mean, I know that's probably a glitch, but when you have your Harbingers in your maps when they're all together, I mean, that's a separate instance. But
I was just going to say, let me bring up, because there's for me 2 instances where I agree with you, and I don't know what the hell happened with Grinding Gear Games and these 2 things. I actually tweeted about it this week on our account because I was like, what is happening with Harbingers was not tested. There is no way that it is out the way they meant it to be out, because I had Harbingers on as my, the Atlas passive tree. And if what in their mind made them think when a Harbinger spawns on a map, they should all spawn together? And there are passives that say a Harbinger, at least one Harbinger will load with additional support.
Yeah, like backup. Yeah.
Why on earth are they all in the same spot? I just don't understand why they have a huge map. Move these Harbingers throughout the maps in different spots. There are 2 spots that the game becomes unbearable for me. Harbinger is one. I actually had to spend currency buying the respecs to turn off anything I had Harbinger. It was wrecking maps for me. Wrecking them, and I was so excited for Harbinger. That's one. The second is Beyond. This league has made me hate Beyond, and I love Beyond only because it's more XP, more monsters, more XP. But when you play a map that you've put some Atlas, passives into Beyond, and maybe you roll a map that has Beyond, Ritual becomes just suicide. I will die. I can't see the Beyond bosses. There's almost always more than one, and you're stuck in a tiny circle. Like I can't see anything already. I've got 2 bosses that are going bananas in the middle of all these mobs, and you start to get that lagginess of the game. I really, really love all the mobs. We talked about this in the past couple episodes too. I love how much there is, but it has to be playable. I have to be. Harbinger just shocks me because it's every time. It's every single time Harbinger loads, they're all like hanging out as a group. And then when you see their blue circles, that's it. I can't do it. And in some maps where it's like a skinny area, it becomes impossible. So yeah, I do understand where you're coming from. Some of them are just brutal.
They are. Yeah. Now, in these circumstances, are you experiencing frame rate issues as well? Or is it just the setup of like off-screen damage and things are so busy you have no idea where things are coming from?
So when I get the Harbingers where they were like that in those huge groups, and when I get some of these rituals that are just insanely packed, I do see a serious hit on my frames per second, but I still never drop below 30, which for me is really, it's to go from 150 to 200 to 30 feels really gross, and it's just a little bit harder to play. But in some of the cases with the Harbingers, I actually can't play because I just can't get through it in a tiny little area where there's all of a sudden 400 Harbingers. You know what I'm doing? I'm like, this is going back to like WoW days where you're running in to hit something and then running back and letting some sort of like follow out. And then I'm getting a little bit more and then pull. That's not how I want to map. I've actually really liked in this league, the slowdownness. I've never had that before where I'm fine to run a temporal chains map. It doesn't bug me.
Oh, isn't it great now? Oh my goodness.
You wreck it for me when I load a ritual and there's 2 Beyond bosses and I can't see it. I can't do anything. I have no idea what's happening. So yeah, it does have an effect on my actual performance in the game. I'm just lucky enough that it doesn't do it in the sense of where it takes me down to like unplayable frames or any slideshowness. But I die so much to Beyond that I have actually started taking it off as well.
It's really disappointing to me. Like I was really excited for this league, but more because I also enjoy Standard. I was really excited for the core content. I was excited for Maven. I was even curious as opposed to instantly hating the Cyrus invasions because I've always hated everything Cyrus. So now that he's in the map and all this kind of stuff, I was excited for all of that. I've always talked about like I love the stuff that just brings you more enemies. I love the longer boss battles. I want that stuff. I need to be able to see. I need to be able to play. Like, it doesn't matter what you add. But for me, no matter my platform, I'm at single digit frames per second. I can't see. The response time from me clicking the mouse, moving the analog, hitting a button, sometimes it doesn't register depending on when I hit the button because of where the frame was at the time. Sometimes it responds so late that it's like I'm playing it's like I'm playing while watching my broadcast as my main screen. You know what I mean? A 20-second delay. It's horrible. And the last gen consoles aren't new to GGG. They've been out for a long time. And I'm a console freak, but like you and I talked about last week, you have to make your game for your lowest end platform. You know what I mean? You can't, well, you can either make the game for high end PCs only, or if you're trying to make your game for console, it has to be playable on console, and then it's just way better on PC. Right? Now, for me, because I broadcast on my PC and I also play on last gen console, what I'm getting in terms of a user is basically the same quality, right? No matter which platform I'm on, it basically looks the same. And I can't play. I want to play. I'm excited to play. I literally can't, because what am I supposed to do with single digit frames per second? And this isn't just like crazy stuff. With you, it's basic rituals. Right? It could be a white map, but rituals on the high end maps, not the low end maps. Like, it's a very smooth experience as I'm leveling. Leveling's great. It's a very smooth experience in white and yellow maps. Even like the triple digit quantity or quality. What is it that you improve with chisels? I forget. Quality. Yeah. The triple digit quality yellow maps. Fine. But as soon as I start getting into like, I'd say 78 or 79 monster area level and higher, it's brutal. Like, I can't even do heist, a normal white heist with my zombies. I can't. It's a slideshow. I can't tell when they've stopped doing, like, I love the part of heist. I'm getting so into heist now, and I'm trying to level up all my rogues. And I'm just really getting it. Like, when I see all the enemies on the other side of the door, like, hold the line. I don't know. I'm getting really into it and I'm loving it. But then as soon as the door opens, I can't tell what's happening. I can't.
Is this console?
It's on both. It's on both. And
wow.
I can't see when the damage is coming. I have to guess when I'm going through the door. And I have to use something like a quartz flask or cyclone with a quicksilver flask and just hope I get through. And I don't even know if I'm going to live. I don't know if I'm making a good decision. And I just wait to see if it says restart at checkpoint or not by the time I'm done. I can't do basic heists, white heists. I can't do just normal influenced maps anymore. You add a couple normal Einhar beasts in there, Syndicate encounters, Legion Beyond. Oh my goodness, you throw any of that stuff, just one of those, and then you add allies can't die. I can't play. It's literally single digits. And then you add a Cyrus-dominated rare that's shooting you from off the screen on single digit stuff. I mean, I'm trying to deal with the circumstance that I can see, let alone all this off-screen damage crap. Like, I actually can't play. So no matter what they're adding to the game, which I'm so excited for. I mean, we're PoE freaks. We have a freaking PoE podcast. I literally can't play. There were 2 times this week where I had time to play PoE. And I'm like, I can't. I literally can't sit down and play my Righteous Fire guide because I don't want to do white maps with it. But I can't, the game literally can't do red maps. I'm like, I would love to do this level 4 level or area level 82, level 4 counter Thurgy or whatever it is for my heist. I'd love to do that contract, but I'm not going to make it because I can't see what I'm doing. It's a slideshow. And it's really too bad because for me, this league, I was especially excited for. And yes, you and I have talked about giving GGG a bit of a break. Wait till 3.14 and 15, where this new mentality of no feature creep comes into play, like, and really sets in. I get that, but at the same time, the stuff that they've added, their game can't handle unless you have a high-end system. And unless that's the only platform you're making it for, unless that's what your minimum specs say on Steam, which they don't, of course, otherwise you wouldn't be making the game for console. It really, really disheartened me, especially after the 13.1 patch for console, because I can't play on anything. And this is the state of the game that they are comfortable with. Sure, they didn't have any feature creep. So ritual was pretty basic, and I absolutely love the concept of ritual. But everything they added to the game it was almost like they didn't care if it could function or not. It would get there one day. And it was just so disheartening for me that the quality of the game, it was like, how do I word this without repeating myself? Feature creep was kind of like putting your excitement before the quality of the game. In terms of a mentality, like if you and I were to make a game and we realized that the game quality was lagging behind, and we realized it was just because we were getting too excited about things that were coming into our head beforehand and tried to implement too much at once. So if we got rid of feature creep, you and I are making a game, we get rid of the feature creep, we kind of put on, our self-controls ready to go, or willpower. But the new stuff we add, the base game still can't handle. The problem wasn't feature creep. Feature creep helped, like with the bad quality, but it wasn't the problem. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, the quality is not high enough on their priority for me to even be able to play. Like I can't even tolerate it. It's not a matter of opinion. I literally just can't play. And this is the final product that was presented to me. So it was a hard week. I want to play this new content that was just added, and I can't.
My biggest problem with all of that and the issue of where the game is at functionally now, not content wise, because I think content wise was actually great. I think Ritual and the current end game content wise are amazing. What I'm struggling with is I just want to know why it's running like this. I really want to know if this was because they're trying something with regards to PoE 2. Like, why did they change whatever they changed that is causing the game to run so much more poorly? Because, they added Ritual and they added Maven and the end game and these Atlas trees, but it shouldn't have added enough that all of a sudden made the game go from, okay, I can play this is fine, even on a lower end PC, to my PC can't handle it. And if that is the case, and it's because they added things like, hey, where you can add Beyond now on your Atlas tree, or you can add Harbingers. The thing that I've struggled with it since we started with this. How did you test this? And what did you test this on? Like, the Harbinger is not a new thing. It's literally been that since I took those skill points, which means it's always been like that. And it's always been like that through this whole league. But if it's because of those Atlas passive changes that causes the game to run poorly, then you got to adjust it. They should be doing something. I just can't figure it out. I can't figure out if it's because they added that type of content that is now packing maps full of stuff, which I love. But the reason that doesn't make sense to me is because they culled the amount of stuff that used to show on maps. We used to have monster density that was insane before, and they cut a lot of that out. The game didn't run super poorly back then with all those mobs on the screen. So just the fact that they're adding more now, what is it that's causing the game to get so garbage when all this stuff is happening? And my biggest struggle with all of that is if it's because of some weird new texture streaming stuff that they're doing, why do it?
Yeah. Save it for the blessed PoE 2.
Yeah. I just don't understand. I don't understand what it is that's actually causing it to happen right now. And it is a little frustrating when you just want to play. You're definitely in that situation more than I am, because I can just go and play. It's fine. I don't like the load screens a little bit longer, but I don't run into an issue where the game is unplayable. But I've had to unspec things in the Atlas tree I was excited for because they are not fun at all.
Yeah. For me, I would love for somebody that has the power to make some executive decisions. I would love for them to sit down for a whole week, play for 4 hours a night, play on console, not a new gen one, the one that they're currently making it for. I want them to get into red maps. I want them to do a blighted map. I want them to do a syndicate laboratory. I want them to play it and be like, yeah, this is the quality I am totally fine shipping. If this was a game I was going to put on a shelf for $80. To me, it's the mentality of what they're okay with, or whatever the cycle is that they've kind of gotten themselves into. But at some point, you have to pull yourselves out. As a user, I don't care about their cycle. I want a lot of content. I want it frequent. Yes, but I want to be able to play it. And I don't want to have a high-end computer to play a game that they released for me on console.
Maybe they should just take it off console.
It's at a point where there's no point having it on console unless it's Xbox Series X only.
Right, because I feel like you've said you've talked to some people with some of the current gen consoles that said it's been a lot better for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, nothing wrong with that. If you make a Series X only game, great. Okay. But they don't. This game's been out for 3 years on console. And to me, the really discouraging part isn't that eventually it might get fixed or get better. To me, the really discouraging part is that this is something that they're fine with. And even if they're not, this is a final product that on a regular basis, they're okay with this quality. And it's that mentality that really has discouraged me this week. I don't know why it's 13.1 that broke me, but to me, now the reasons that they come up with internally for this type of gameplay to be acceptable to them, there's no more leash, there's no more leeway for me. To me, I can't, as somebody who absolutely loves this game, suggest it to someone and be like, you're going to love it. You're going to put 100 hours into this character, and when you finally reach the content you've been working so hard to get to, you're not going to be able to play it. Like I can't I can't suggest this game. Hey, do you like this game? Yeah, but it's broken. I love the game. It's the only game I play. I have a podcast about the game, but maybe play it when PoE 2 comes out, because it doesn't really work very well right now. That's probably what I would say if I did transit without COVID. Hey, dude, like your hoodie. Thanks, man. Bud bought it for me.
It used to be a great game. All right, Negative Nancy. What do you have positive wise?
I have Tyler's pathetic feel goods coming up.
There we go. What do we got?
When you bring up the Atlas, which I am very glad GGG gave us like the desktop version that we could just, put as our desktop background. They add in one of their announcement pages, they had a fully completed Atlas that they let people use for like banners on Twitch or YouTube and for your desktop. Okay. So I have that. But as I was playing around, it's the exact same background now that's for your Atlas. And as I was playing around with it, I had some influenced areas. And what are they called? The drawings of the conquerors that are on the four sides, right? There's like the hunter at the bottom and I don't know, the redeemer or something at the top.
Yeah.
The conqueror pictures, they actually have precedent over the animations of the influenced areas. So you know how the influenced areas now, they have a neat little like wavy animation to them, which is really cool looking. The outline of the conquerors is over top of that. So it kind of accentuates it a little bit. And I'm like, oh,
we're digging for Tyler's pathetic feel goods.
I'm like, but the hunter, look at that. That looks pretty good. And I like Maven's portals. Those are cool.
Yeah, they are. They're kind of big. Like when you go into her arena, it's massive.
I'm fine with that, man. They're like the only thing that runs at a decent frame rate. I'm fine with it. I look at them and I appreciate them. Now, everybody's heard of the Doctor div card, right?
That's because they've heard of the headhunter, the leather belt.
Right. So, and now there's the nurse, right?
Yeah.
The nurse is a div card that gives you a doctor div card, which in turn, the doctor div card can give you a headhunter. Did you see that they added the patient?
I did.
So they have the doctor, the nurse, and the patient is kind of going down. The patient gives you the nurse gives you the doctor gives you the headhunter. One thing that I actually thought was kind of funny, because I was looking at that and I enjoyed the idea of that. The patient, like the actual patient, so the drawing on the patient div card, there's a patient. On the nurse card, it's the exact same patient that's on the nurse, and the nurse is treating that patient.
That's cool.
Who knows what the doctor's dealing with, because that's just a corpse mess. But but I thought it was kind of cool. They used the same patient that's on the patient for the nurse card.
I feel bad for the people having to do the amount of math to figure out, like, should I buy the patients or should I buy the nurses, or do I buy the doctor or should I just buy the headhunter?
Yeah. You know what you do? You just make, I don't have this, but you just make all div cards the exact same on your filter and you just pick them all up. You'll get something eventually.
Gross.
Hey, but what's one of your favorite div cards? Is the Scroll of Wisdom one. Which one's that?
Okay, speaking of Scroll of Wisdoms, why can't those be in ritual rewards? I was thinking that today. Give me friggin' portal and wisdom scrolls, so that when I've got like 20 left, I can get a wisdom scroll.
What a great idea. Like a guaranteed stack of 40 every time, no matter what.
Sure. Why not?
What a great idea, especially if it was to go core. If
Anyway.
they put something that the game can't handle in core, I tell you, so help me. Anyway.
You'll play it anyway.
So I've been getting into Heist now that I have time to just sit down and level them and have a good time. I when we played Heist, I just ran into yours, right? So it's kind of cool to like sit down, take my time with them. And I think I said this an episode or two ago, but they really do put some good quality effort into their NPCs. And I really appreciate that. I really like their NPCs. For them to add, what was it, 13 for Heist? And the Heist interactions that are different between each one, especially like as you get into the grand heists where you pick and choose which ones, but they have specific dialogue between them, even if it's repetitive. I think it's so cool. And they really make me laugh. I really love them. Oh, I haven't submitted this. I really have to submit this. You know what console doesn't have? Faustus has no goodbye dialogue. Not one. When you exit and you go to your stash or whatever, it doesn't say anything.
They're just trying to make the game run better for you.
But I don't get a Toodles. No,
you don't.
I don't get
Play
a
on PC.
Toodles. I should
Play on PC.
I would be if I didn't make the stupid build that I did.
Yeah,
co-op only. Oh, I seriously though. Next league, I'm just doing my
I'm going all
stuff. That's
tie.
it.
I'm going all tie, and that's it.
100% T-bone. What else? Do you have a favorite NPC? I think my favorite is Sister Cassia. I love her singing. I love how like what does she say? The righteous will burn to ash, and it's not like really on key. She's not a singer. I love how dramatic she is and how apathetic and how much she disdains you. I like Cassia.
My favorite used to be Nico.
Oh yeah, he used to be funny in his league. He actually had some really funny lines, and I think they redid them when he went core.
I don't know if I have a favorite NPC now.
Einhard makes me laugh.
Eh.
Is he too old for you now? Do they need to reshuffle all the masters again for you?
He just talks too much. But he's fine. He's fine. I don't think I have a favorite. Cassia is fun though.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. Anyway, yeah, there's some feel goods after my hate on. I don't know if I'll be able to play this week. I really don't.
Oh, you'll play.
How? I can only play with you. I go to log on to play and I can only do white stuff. I can only do white maps, and I have to hope that there's certain types of, I have to hope there's no abyss. I have to hope there's no blight. It sucks.
Just level another character on PC. You've got time then.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Sure, yeah, I'll do Cyclone with cast while channeling and
do one of your builds so you have it on PC going forward.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I know.
Want to do the Maven and Atlas passive stuff next week?
Yep. Well, there's lots to talk about on that side of it, but my problem now is some of that has shifted, so it's not a bad thing to be able to get some more time with it, because mine has definitely shifted a ton. The things I loved when I first started this league, I'm like, I might need some more of those regrets, because I'm shifting more into the stuff that I wasn't as excited about.
Yeah, it's too bad, hey? How much did those what are they, Orbs of Unmaking? How much did they cost you?
I had 2. I got one from Ethan, and I think maybe like 10 or 12 chaos. I don't remember. They're not cheap. They weren't cheap.
Yeah.
But they were necessary because I couldn't do some of the maps with the Harbingers.
Sun's banking you?
Yeah, not so much anymore. I'm doing all right. I did Heist and had some like really good high value items drop. So
nice.
I got some currency to spend now.
Money bags. Good for you. Right on. Well, sorry it was a Debbie Downer episode, but I had my hopes high and they got shattered. All right. Well, okay. Oh, isn't Leo Gets the best?
He is when he does it.
Well, no, that was I don't
it's like
see
you
how
and the
you
Godfather.
could have if you didn't have that on camera, you probably would have thought it was Leo. But I mean, speaking of NPCs, Leo Gets is probably my favorite movie character of all time. But I'm still really excited about the boss battle prospect of all of this. I can't play now, and I wish I could. But I'm still really excited for when the game is, whether it gets playable before I'm capable of upgrading my console, or whether I have to wait until I upgrade my console. I'm excited for all the content that's been added. Maven invitations are so exciting to me. Like right now, the only ones I've done are the 3 or the 4 boss ones. So like those monster levels are still in the 70s and I don't even get to witness it. Everything gets wiped out and, then I click and I get some rewards. One thing that I've actually found was kind of funny is when I put, how when you put a map into the map device, it tells you if Maven's interested in it or not based on the region or if you've done it or whatever it is. Or basically it doesn't tell you if she's interested, but it tells you if she's not interested. It's just either
lit on or off. Yeah.
Right. And then there's like an error saying like Maven's not interested in this area yet. I actually found it quite funny when you put her invitation in the map atlas, it says Maven's not interested in this area. And I'm like, well, it's debatable. She's inviting me to her arena. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny, but I'm really excited for fighting all these bosses and especially getting into like the 10 boss fight and getting into those cool ones that I didn't even know were real, where there's specific ones you have to fight to get into there. It's not just the random ones you choose. Are you being picky with how you choose your boss battles? I'm excited to get into the boss battles and do them apathetically and just taking what the Maven, I always have the Maven beacon on. I don't care which bosses it is. Maybe I will later, but I'm also excited to kind of like, okay, I want to pick these bosses specifically and see what it's like to fight them all. Are you being picky or how do you choose your bosses?
On a couple of my areas, I'm currently building up the 10 boss battle. I have not cared at all. I just leave Maven on and I run with it. And if she wants to witness the fight, awesome. Sometimes I don't even remember and I get into it because some of the new bosses they're actually quite difficult. They've added like mechanics to them and stuff. So there's been a couple where I'm like, oh, God damn it. Maven's here. That being said, they really have dumbed down a lot of the boss fights in the Maven part. And I don't know, maybe that will change. Like I said, I haven't done any of the 10 boss ones yet. I've done up to 6. So no, I don't pick. I literally just leave it on. I don't know that I would ever be that picky about it just because I just want to just keep going, do the content. And then when she drops the item, I'm like, oh yeah, sweet. Time to go do it.
Can you think of any bosses that you might avoid when the bosses become challenging for you? I mean, at some point, they're definitely going to be challenging, even if they're not currently, because that's the whole point of it.
Some of the new ones for sure. I don't remember which one. There was one from a new boss today that I had never fought before. I wish I could remember what it was, but it was quite difficult. Just the boss fight alone was quite difficult because I wish I could remember what it was. And anything with phases, but I've also found that some of them just don't have those same phases when you fight them in the Maven arena. So, but some of them do. Like when you're fighting, oh my God, what's his name? He married. He's
Duresso,
the friend of Merve. Yeah, Duresso. He still has those annoying immunity phases where he just goes down on a knee and. So I there's none that I'm overly nervous about because I haven't found any of them to be even close to as difficult in the Maven fight as they were sometimes in the map. Because map mods all affect them too, right? I've never done one where map mods were affecting the bosses.
What do you mean
I was
map
fighting.
Mods affect?
Well, when you're doing a map, the mods on that map can have an effect on the boss you're about to fight, which can sometimes make it more difficult.
Sorry, my mind was in the arena. My apologies.
Right. And what I'm saying is there is nothing that affects them in the arena. Now that will change when you're into the 10 boss fight, because then they can actually be rolled
as an item. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
but I've never done that yet. I'm building my 10s. So I've done 6 on almost all the regions and I'm filling the slots for the 10s.
Oh, so you still have to. Okay.
You have to fill it before you can do it.
And so then it just drops randomly after you've filled it, or
even while you're filling it. It's kind of weird. I have one of the invitations to the 10 boss fight for one of the regions, but if you put it in, it says you have to, she hasn't witnessed enough boss fights in this area.
Oh, so once you've done 6, it can drop as an item, but you still have to do 10 bosses in that region?
Yeah. Now, I don't know once you've done the 10, if it just becomes a random drop in that zone and you can do it anytime. That part I don't know. I have no idea how it works after you've done the first 10 fight because I haven't done it yet. I'm sure somebody's going to post and be like, hey, idiots. This is how it happens. But
we haven't experienced it yet.
I haven't done it yet. I'm currently filling the 10 slot.
Interesting.
So I'll know once I do that.
Well, hopefully it's not too tedious because that map stash tab was convenient, but now things are really region specific. I hope the map stash tab's not tedious. Like, wouldn't it be interesting if with all this searching we need to do and focusing on a certain region or this, that, and another thing, that it's probably better to put our maps into just a normal quad tab? Be easier to control F everything.
I haven't found it that bad so far. But I also, that's not a focus. I've not looked at it and been like, oh, I'm at 5 or 6 now. I need to do one from this zone. I'm literally just picking the map that I want to do. I'm more than anything trying to progress the watchstones. And if Maven comes along, then sweet. Because you have, as much as we talked about, it's nice. You don't have to deal with the whole Cyrus stuff. If you want to progress your Atlas, you have to progress the watchstones, which means you have to progress Cyrus. You don't necessarily have to be able to beat him.
Which I love.
Yeah, you can still move on and keep pushing up the watchstones, but so I'm just doing that, and whatever comes along with that is fine.
Yeah. That's cool. It's good to know. You've progressed a lot more than me. I was hoping to do a lot more, but, didn't work out for me this week, so maybe something will come out. I don't know. Well, I'm glad you brought it up. Oh, man. So there was just this little thing that was happening, this little thing.
Anyway, hopefully I'm quite confident. I'm going to give them, the benefit of the doubt that they'll get it sorted, because they typically do. They have always somewhat figured it out. So I have confidence that they will. I'm hoping it's sooner than later.
I don't know. I hope so too. For me, like Syndicate was so bad when it was released on console. I've mentioned this example a few times, but it's the only one I can remember. When Syndicate first came out on console, you couldn't play it. It just used up too much memory. So they made a very console specific change where when you load Syndicate on a map, it'll roll 3 random encounters, not duplicate, but you'll get an invasion or a fortification or a lab or whatever, the transportation. You'll get one of the 3 of those 4. Well, that was too much for console. So they just made it, okay, you're only going to get 1 random encounter, but it's going to give you triple the rewards and XP and all that kind of stuff. Okay, sure. But even then, since then, so it's been 3 years now, it's still, when a Syndicate member loads, it freezes the game for 2 seconds. And if you're getting invaded, like if that person gets invaded 3 times, well, then that's okay. I'm fighting this guy that does crazy damage, and then, oh shoot, the screen's still for 2 seconds, right? But that was the quality that they ended up being comfortable with for a couple of years. And that to me is discouraging. Yet at the same time, what's really encouraging, to go with your positive hope there, is this texture streaming stuff has made it so that when I load into a Syndicate lab, there's no stuttering anymore. Or, sorry, there's no freezing. There's only minor stuttering. It's not freezing. So, from a different perspective, there are parts of the game that are starting to function.
Have you noticed on console, is it a noticeable increase in the load? Because it has for me, for sure.
Console load times are always pretty long.
I know they always are, but is there anything that you're like, wow, this is actually a little bit longer than it normally used to be?
I haven't honestly noticed, because once I visited, like, my hideout has all my pets in it. And so it takes a little bit to load my hideout when I go in. But after I've been in my hideout a couple times, the load screen's a lot shorter than it was the original time, right? Oriath, because, I haven't beaten Cyrus yet. Oriath takes a long time to load the first time you load it up, but then it's a lot shorter the second or third time. So I haven't really noticed, because on console, kind of a sad thing, but it's not a criticism really, because you always expect load times on console. I multitask during load screens. So I'm checking my Twitch chat, or I'm grabbing a chip and I'm snacking, or I'm running to the bathroom for my 800th pee of the day. So, I'm not really one to care or notice. I'm always trying to do something else to fill the time. So I haven't really noticed, to answer your question. Sorry.
You know what? We'll see what happens. They've got their best people on it. It'll be sorted.
Yeah.
Next week, no console talk. We promise.
That's right. I'm going to start one of my guides on PC this week. Nothing but positive feedback.
I think you should. I think that'd be a great idea. All right, let's wrap up episode 68. Forever Exiled, the Path of Exile podcast. I'm Justin, aka Tagz.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Patreons, we will catch you guys in After Dark. Everybody else will catch you in episode 69. You can find out more information down below if you're curious. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. Our Discord link is down below, and on our website. If you're not on it, get on there. Our Patreon link is also down below if you're curious about that and you want access to After Dark. And as well, you can now find the new merch store, which is merch.foreverexiled.com. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Peace.
I think I'm going to order a tote bag.